Everyone, so sorry about this. I'm going to be making a new video about another game. Now, this game is kind of interesting in my perspective, but it's kind of biased. So, sadly, it's not going to be out there for all of you guys. Now, as you can see, I have Federation chat, and as you can read, I'm making a video. Now, today's video isn't about something crazy. This is for English players or people who can understand English. Now, first of all, there have been quite a few difficulties as of late. As you can see here, this is a functional part of the game. So, it's a war-based game, and I just want to help you guys figure things out. First of all, as you can see, I'm building ships. Now, yes, these ships are based on a real-time scale system. But today's not the point of the video. Today's point of this video is actually to showcase something interesting. Something interesting that most Korean federations, yes, I'm being specific upon ethnicity. Most Korean federations have already run through this data, have already run through this test, and have already provided this kind of information between their social group. Now, what I'm doing is spreading this information to my social group. Now, where am I going to get at and what's going to happen? I'm seeing what these guys are talking about. Oh, did they porter? Oh, dear. I think she ported. Oh, sorry. I was looking up something that they were just posting. So, here's the video. Now, first of all, these are my ship upgrades. Yes. Ship upgrades are important, especially when it comes down to what they do. First of all, this is actually wrong. Why? Because the Korean Federation, they try to teach us how to micromanage our ships. But this was a little bit tricky here, because I misunderstood something, and I kind of fell for it. Now, I'm going to get down to what I mean. First of all, as you could see, my cruiser has a lot of evasion, right? It has a lot of cannon evasion, a lot of missile evasion, and a lot of beam evasion, and a lot of railgun evasion. Now, accuracy for these guys is very small, but they pack quite a punch when it comes down to penetration and attack. First of all, you gotta also include the fact that these guys have a higher rate of fire than most of the ships here. So between frigates and destroyers, they have a high rate of fire. Battleships and cruisers do not have a high rate of fire, but they do deal more damage as to compensate for that. Now, why am I getting down to these small details? Well, because these also play a role as for your capital ships. First of all, you will never win a match against a missile if you ever try using evasion. Why? Because evasion does not provide enough to stop the accuracy for these weapons. Just because you see it's at 1476 for my level 38, but mind you, most of the enemies and the Korean Federation at this point in our game, they don't even use that. Their accuracy, they could have a crazy amount of accuracy on their ships. As you could see, he has focused most of his stuff into his frigates, his cruisers. Sorry, yes, his cruisers, or apologies. His battleships, and then his destroyers. Now, why is that? Well, mainly because frigates take up most of the army. Now, after the enemy has been hit, he decides to send all his destroyers and hit the rest, which is a smart tactic because all that's left is frigates, destroyers, and cruisers, a small amount of them. He plays it, but that's how it is, technicality. It's a very smart move, but it's also very easy to see through. Why do I say that? Because firstly, you can counter this, as well as you can counter this, the first attack. which prevents him from being able to win in the second attack, which mainly has a big army of cruisers, or destroyers, sorry. But this strategy has been used multiple times over with other fleets. One specific fleet would be somebody that attacked me. No, sorry. No, that's not it. I guess I don't have it. Alright. Yes, I'm in server 15, so this is not really exactly 100% for you guys. But this is really for server 15 heads up guide. Alright. So, what is to do? How to counter it? How do we get it done? First of all, I was looking upon our building here. Frigates are strong against battleships, which also are good against capital ships. Yes, frigates are good against capital ships. Destroyers are good against frigates. Cruisers are good against destroyers, as well as battleships are good against cruisers. But as you could read, when I showed you the results of this, battleships' attack and accuracy will not match that of a cruiser's. What? Why? Because if you see the evasion is higher than the battleship. This is why they always send one battleship per army to hit you. Because there is no sense in sending battleships in against a single target, a single group enemy. Oh, big shock, right? Not really. Now, they did the same thing as to destroyers, as you saw before. Why? Because destroyers don't have much penetration as to versus frigates and cruisers. Frigates and cruisers' penetration do play a role in this. Now, mind you, I'm going to show you a hero on top of this as well, because this is also very important to understand. Penetration and accuracy play a keen role throughout this entire game. Yes, they do, believe it or not. It's sad to admit, but they play a key role. Now, why do I say this? And why does it sound so messed up at this point? Because it is messed up. It's the truth. And the whole system is rigged around this idea. First of all, accuracy and penetration are the two key factors throughout this entire game. What? No, that's not possible. Sorry, it's true. That's why Ishtar is valued amongst the top two attacking ships alongside with the Malach. Ishtar is a defensive ship, but it has evasion. Now, how do you solve a problem you can't fix? First of all, upgrades. This is why I'm showing you this section here. Now, as you can see, my resistance and evasion is quite high for my destroyers and frigates, but it doesn't play a key role. Why is that? Because first of all, my frigates will get destroyed quite easily with how much durability they have. But that's because they'll get chewed out if their durability is weak. Surprise! What? Yep. Secondly, another thing is, just because you're increasing the engine's grade, you're also increasing its attack speed. Yeah? Not really. As you can see, as I said, you're increasing its attack speed by a small decibel. Now, mind you, this is, like I said, everything here I'm pointing out is important. Now, it gets all kerbobbled, it gets all mixed up here. It starts making everybody go crazy. How can you analyze this? How can you process this? Firstly, it'll get confusing. There will be arguments and there will be disapprovals within this video. Why is that? Because it's constant intuition. You think, you process, you understand, you compare, you contrast. First of all, as I said before, frigates are weak to destroyers. Destroyers are weak to cruisers, and cruisers are weak to battleships, as to battleships are weak to frigates. Okay, so we get that detail, but where does all this play a role in upgrades? As I said, each and everything plays a role into upgrades. First of all, they upgraded the system, and I don't like the upgrade they did, so now you gotta have more materials for upgrades for a different section. Alright, okay. Understandable, they did that on purpose to make it a little more difficult for players to have a change. But no, that doesn't really stop the problem. Anyways. Why is my destroyer's durability so strong? Well, because they make up most of my army. Why would I work on most of my durability for them then? That makes no sense. Why don't I just work on accuracy and start punching through armor? Well, because that's actually about the right decision you're supposed to make. What? Wait, how come you're contrasting yourself though? You have your battleships and your cruisers at the highest power with the weapon rates. Because I made a mistake and they fell for it. It was a little trick that Koreans played on us. They thought this was a good idea. But no, it's not. First of all, if you read battleships lose to cruisers if they have enough evasion. Why I say accuracy is important. Because if everything has enough evasion, then they won't land a hit. Surprise! Did I get you there? Why do I keep repeating myself about that? It's because everything is different. Frigates, destroyers, cruisers, battleships, they all rely on accuracy and penetration. Penetration works against cruisers. Why? Because it eats away at the durability. So in short, cruisers can lose automatically to frigates and destroyers? Yes, because of penetration. Accuracy? Where does that work? Where does that come in? And they don't have much accuracy. But compare a thought process like this. You're trying to understand that you're using cruisers against frigates. Who's going to win? Are missiles going to win against fast mobile ships? Or are missiles going to win against slow mobile ships? Ah, got you there. They may be far apart and they may be slow moving, as the game implies. But remember, evasion always wins. Now, evasion is a problem in the game because it's actually one of the very top factors that this game, as to put it, cheats. Surprise! There you go again. Evasion is a cheat. It's the reason why most of the enemy's flagships and ships survive in general. Because they're evading your hits. So your frigates are evading all the missiles that are coming at it. How do you stop that? Well, their counter is destroyers. But destroyers don't have enough accuracy to compensate for that. That's where your capital ship comes in. Your capital ship will always target between the frigates or the other enemy's capital ship. But that's the tricky part, because I'll show you here as to why that's so tricky. I'm going to play one of these battles that occurred. No, this one won't do. Let me see. This one, no, not even. This one's junk in my perspective. That one's also junk. That's the same one. Oops. Sorry. No, this is a defensive battle. No. Wait. No, yeah. Here we go. Nope. Actually, no, not even. Which one was it? Ah, here it is. This one. This one is a lot more scarier. Now, what? Why are you saying scarier? Because Sharpshooter Liu, as I showed you before, increases accuracy and penetration. And she has a permanent buff to accuracy and penetration. But as you can see, what's so surprising here when you saw the other ones? The might decreased by a major factor. Why? Because evasion. Evasion was reduced. Your enemy could not evade your accuracy. And guess what? That's all this is about. Everything here is about evasion. Oh, but that's so cheating. How are you supposed to win against that? Well, there is no surefire way to win. You could always increase your power. You can always increase your durability. You can never increase your evasion or your accuracy. It's a cheap tactic, but hey, it's the only one that's guaranteed to win. So, wait a minute. There's no point in you actually increasing the armor for the frigates or the destroyer. Yes, that's right. There is no point. Why is that? Well, because I'm trying to do a two-person commentary. Sorry, guys. Been doing it the whole time, but it just seems a little stupid now without me ever telling you. So, then why did you do that? Like I said, I made a mistake. But these are important questions to answer because you all could be making the same mistake as well. I already informed my members of my federation that I made this mistake. Of what I did. But next time around, when we get another update against this, I will be removing these. I'll be changing armor grade to engine and weapon grade as well. I'm going to remove armor grade off of frigates and change it to weapon grade as well. I'm actually going to put armor and weapon as well on cruisers. Actually, sorry. Yes, I'm not going to upgrade their engines, which increases their evasion. Why? Because my evasion will be the frigates and my destroyers. Why? Guess why else? Because they're not going to be using battleships. They're going to be using frigates and destroyers. My main focus would be not to increase my evasion, my loads, my attacks. No, my focus is to make sure my ship survives. My ship needs to get more HP and survive those crazy hits, those crazy penetrations, the power, the accuracy. As you can see, the missiles for cruisers have a crazy amount of accuracy, but they don't provide much in power. Versus battleships whose accuracy says, I'm the greatest in the world. Say what? Is that a joke? It is. Because just because it says accuracy is high for it does not mean it's high at all. Because I'll show you this. Something as you would think about reading in between the lines. Yes, I'm rushing my construction here for these guys because I want to show you guys what each of these say when you read them. Now, make sure you pay attention to these details. Frigates, the small ship attacks the enemy from the back with its characteristic railguns. It's rather weak but can deal tremendous damage to a large ship, particularly battleships. And here goes destroyers. This small ship uses quick and precise beams. Precise. Remember that word. Beams to attack smaller enemy ships first. It is the most effective when intercepting frigates, but it's vulnerable against enemies with high resistance. What? Wait a minute. Didn't you just tell us that there's no point in your destroyers and battleships to have evasion? Yeah, I did. The game tells you everything. We're just too dumb not to read it. Cruisers. This ship uses powerful missiles to attack smaller enemy ships first. It is very effective when it comes to fighting destroyers. The weapons are unknown for their explosive power, aren't able to deal critical damage. First of all, your most important factor here for cruisers isn't missile damage. Actually, isn't missile critical rate. Is missile damage. That is something that everybody's been doing, but that's because cruisers have a high critical rate versus most ships. Battleships now, the last one. This ship uses its powerful cannons to burn the enemy to ashes from behind. It can deal tremendous amounts of damage to cruiser-type ships. The cannons are weak when it comes to enemies with good evasion skills. Wait a minute, didn't you just say accuracy and penetration play a smart role in this? I did. Cruisers' penetration kills off destroyers and frigates, whereas its accuracy also destroys them. But increasing the armor of this cruiser prevents destroyers from killing them off easily. Same for frigates. Frigates would eat out the durability. But what happens if you get rid of them first? Well, the obvious answer is they will have a standing chance. But that's the problem. Here's the problem. The characteristic of railguns, it says rather weak but deal tremendous damage to large ships, particularly battleships. Guess what? Cruisers is considered a large ship. But guess who counters that? Destroyers. You need destroyers to counter frigates at all times. So if somebody attacks you with a whole army of frigates, your whole army of destroyers will destroy the frigates before they are able to reach your cruisers. And this is why I suggest you upgrade your cruisers on durability, because the destroyers will try to target the cruisers. But the frigates will also try to target the cruisers as well. But they're going to be unable to as long as the destroyers are able to destroy them in time. This is why I suggested to work on attack for your frigates. Focus your attack for your destroyers, so that you can get rid of the frigates. Frigates, all you really have to do is beef up their evasion. That's why you see this the whole time. Look at their destroyer. Look at the battleship 41, whereas their frigates is 52. What's going on there? Their beams is 35. But why is it 35 if they're focusing on something else? Well, if you noticed, look at the damage. you notice he's upgraded his frigates to have more damage than most of his ships. This is to counter battleships and to counter most enemy. It's ironic in a perspective, but it makes good damn sense. Oh, and as you can see, his cruisers did the most damage there, of course. And as you can see here, his destroyers did the most damage here. Now, compare the differences. 130 to 421. 421 won because of the fact of how many he had. But he lost none. Why was that? Because his frigates were tanking. They were evading most of the damage. Here goes something else. I'll replay the video for you guys, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Sorry, that's my fleet, yes, and I have one of my friends actually blocking me up. As you can see, look what happens here. What? All your cruisers just got destroyed. Yes, you're right. All my cruisers did get destroyed. Why? Because his cruiser, sorry, all my frigates got destroyed in an instant. Why? Because of his cruisers. Let's recap. So, can I pause this by chance? No, I cannot. See how the missiles are headed towards my frigates? They're going to target the frigates first. So your main objective in this entire situation is to increase the evasion. Now, mind you, he's completely focused all his damage and attack not into his frigates, but into his cruisers. Now, some people might do the reverse. They might actually have a bunch of destroyers rather than cruisers, rather than frigates. Why? Because compare and contrast, you're seeing it the same way as you're seeing it now. So, what's the point of this video? Well, it's to inform American players and other players who can understand English in the prospect. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish. No hablo español. But it's to help out, to help you understand that these are the cheap tactics Koreans use to play the game. My Federation lost to a single attack from a player who's Korean, and he has 86 million. And we had nine ships all clustered in one place, and he still won. And he didn't lose much. Why was that? And of course, we fell for the oldest trick in the book. We didn't have enough accuracy. We did not have a standing chance because we did not play it smart. And we did not do accuracy. His destroyers evaded all the damage they needed to do. So in short, what am I going to be focusing on in the future? First of all, my frigates will be receiving an evasion and a damage upgrade. Mostly evasion upgrade though. My destroyers will be also receiving the same upgrades. But they'll be mainly focused on damage control. No, actually, they won't need damage. But I'm going to focus on destroyers rather than focus on frigates. Because I can counter frigates with destroyers. So my frigates won't be receiving much of an upgrade versus my destroyers. That's something that most players don't pay attention to. As you can see here, due to the last battle, they used the same thing, except their army was well rounded instead of single target rounding, meaning they made all their ships balanced out, whereas they didn't focus on one thing. But that's the cheap trick to this whole thing. You just gotta focus on one ship, or two ships for that matter. I wouldn't suggest battleships, first of all, because battleships don't have quite the accuracy. And I wouldn't suggest frigates because they're pretty not that strong. Especially if you already have cruisers who can knock out battleships in a second. Now, if you have enough evasion, your destroyers would evade the battleships. But that's about it, guys. That's all there is for this video. I basically made a 10-minute video, 20-minute video, trying to describe two simple things. Penetration, accuracy, and that's it. And upgrades. Oh, okay, three things. Penetration, damage, and accuracy. Whatever. So, with this, I hope you guys can understand that mainly all this work we've been doing is not exactly appropriate and proper. We try to well balance around our ships, but that's not gonna work the best way we think it will. So, with that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a good day and have fun. I hope you guys have the chance to actually play the game without having to suffer much losses like I have. Good luck and have fun.